Once while he was on a flight to Beijing, author and pastor Chip Ingram was asked, "What makes you think your God is so much better than everyone else's God?" He answered, "Because the God I worship is before all things, created all things, upholds all things, is above all things, knows all things, can do all things, accomplishes all things, rules over all things, is in control of all things, earthly kings, human events, good angels, Satan and demons, human decisions. In a word, I worship the sovereign God of the universe." The topic I've chosen today is to explain the meaning and significance of the sovereignty of God. I'm going to be doing this through two simple points. First of all, looking at the meaning, and then at the significance. Let's jump right in and look at the meaning of the sovereignty of God. What is it? Well, in his book, The Sovereignty of God, theologian A.W. Pink says, "What do we mean by the sovereignty of God? We mean the supremacy of God, the kingship of God, the godhood of God. To say that God is sovereign is to say that God is God. To say that God is sovereign is to declare that He is the Almighty, the possessor of all power in heaven and earth, so that none can defeat His counsels, thwart His purpose, or resist His will. To say that God is sovereign is to declare that He is the only potentate, the King of kings and Lord of lords. Such is the God of the Bible." Now, a slightly more succinct definition of God's sovereignty is God's absolute right to do all things according to His own good pleasure. Now, a good summary of everything that's included in God's sovereignty is found in Colossians chapter 1, verses 15 through 17. It says that He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. He is the head, for by Him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, invisible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things were created through Him and for Him. And He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. God can do anything He wants, and He is completely in charge. If He decided to cease sustaining the universe, it would instantly disappear. So when we speak of God's sovereignty, we speak of the fact that He may do whatever He wants and that He sustains all things. Now, why is the fact that God is sovereign significant? Or what is its importance? Well, first of all, it's important because we can trust God to sustain the universe. In 2010, there was a massive earthquake in the country of Haiti that killed over 200,000 people. Now, we can notice two things from this. First, we know that God is in control. This earthquake did not surprise Him. It's not as though God were sitting in heaven and then suddenly looked down and saw an earthquake in Haiti and was stunned that such an event had taken place. No, in times of disaster, we can rest assured that our sovereign God is in control. That although we don't understand why these things happen, God does. We also, drawn from this event, we should thank God that He sustains the universe. 200,000 killed is a huge number, but oftentimes we just take life for granted. When we see 200,000 people die, we think that God has done something unjust because we believe that we somehow deserve to live. But rather, a correct understanding of the sovereignty of God reminds us that God is continually sustaining the universe simply because He wants to and not because we deserve that. If God were to choose to cease sustaining the universe, then everything would instantly disappear or explode, and all of us would perish. We need to thank God each and every day that He sustains our very lives, our very breath, our very heartbeat. Also, we know because of God's sovereignty, it's significant because we have the assurance of salvation. If God is not in control, then we can't really know whether we'll go to heaven or not when we die. But thankfully, we know that God is in control. In John 10, 27 through 29, Jesus draws on God as sovereign to comfort those who are wondering whether or not they will go on to be saved. Jesus says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they will never perish, and no one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of the Father's hand." Because God is sovereign, we can trust Him to sustain the universe and to sustain us in our faith. So over the past few minutes, we've looked at the meaning and significance of the sovereignty of God. If God were not in control of even a single atom, even a single maverick molecule, he would not be sovereign. We should thank him that he is not only in control of every single atom in the entire universe, but in control of the universe as a whole, and that he will never allow us to be snatched out of his hand. A.W. Tozer aptly summarizes why we should be so thankful for God's sovereignty. In the moral conflict now raging around us, whoever is on God's side is on the winning side and cannot lose. Whoever is on the other side is on the losing side and cannot win. Here there is no chance, no gamble. In summary, we should thank God that because he is sovereign, we truly are on the winning side, on the side of our sovereign God. And when we are with him, we cannot lose.